Thank you for your presence in the seminar hall. Thank you for gracing us with your presence at Amity University, Patna. On behalf of the Amity Institute of English Studies and Research at Amity University, Patna, I am pleased to welcome you to our conference on gender studies and intersectionality. We are excited to bring together scholars, practitioners, and students to engage in critical discussions that illuminate the complexities of gender in our contemporary world. As we explore the multifaceted nature of gender and the intersections that shape our identities, we aim to foster an environment of collaboration and insight. This conference is not just an academic gathering, but an opportunity for us to challenge prevailing narratives, share diverse perspectives, and inspire actionable changes. Literature has been a powerful tool for challenging societal norms and a medium through which society explores complex themes and ideas, often reflecting the challenging prevailing values. Let's unpack the complexities of gender together and amplify the voices that have often gone unheard. We invite you to engage in vibrant discussions that reflect the diversity of our experience and power of intersectionality. The preparation process for the Gender Studies and Intersectionality Conference GSDP 2024 began in June 2024, making an exciting journey of collaboration and creativity. Our dedicated team worked tirelessly to create a comprehensive website, design engaging brochures and posters, and craft a detailed concept note outlining the conference themes and topics. We are thrilled to collaborate with the Women and Child Development Corporation of Bihar and our esteemed publishing partners, Emerald Publishing and NGO Pradhan. A significant milestone was signing of Memorandum of Understanding with the Faculty of Languages, Arts and Human Sciences at Sasset, Morocco, Casablanca, enhancing our global reach. The response was overwhelming with around 250 abstracts submitted and 110 papers accepted, drawing participation from 200 delegates worldwide. We are honored to host eminent speakers from Romania, Morocco, IIM Ahmedabad, BHU, Delhi, Calcutta University, Bangladesh, IGNTU, IIT Patna, and Durban University of Technology, South Africa, ensuring a rich engage of ideas and insights throughout the conference. Welcome to our conference on gender studies and intersectionality. We are thrilled to have the students, scholars, and esteemed guests with us today. As we gather to celebrate the spirit of knowledge and enlightenment, we invite you to join us in the traditional lighting of the lamp. The ritual symbolizes the discipline of ignorance and illumination of our minds. Let this light present our collective commitment to fostering understanding, promoting inclusivity, and igniting meaningful dialogue. I welcome Paul for the lamp lighting ceremony. May I please have on the stage Honorable Vice Chancellor Dr. Vivekanand Pandey, Sir, Program Leader Abhijit, Sir, Ms. Kim, IPS, Dr. Anita Ma'am, and Brenoy Bhumani, Sir.
असम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तु ते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तु ते शुभं कुरु त्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः 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 शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तु ते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तु ते शुभं कुरु त्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरु त्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः
After the invocation and
सर पेन ड्राइव में दे दीजिए हमको डाउनलोड कैसे करेंगे
after the invocation and blessings of God, now I extend my heartfelt gratitude in welcoming Honorable Vice Chancellor of Amity University, Patna, Dr. Vivekanand Pandey, sir. His steadfast support and commitment to our institute motivates us to pursue excellence in education. I also take an opportunity to welcome the HOIs of various departments, PLs from various departments of Amity University, Patna. We would now like to invite our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Sir, Dr. Vivekanand Pandey, sir, Program Leader Abhijit Roach, sir, to the stage for the felicitation of our esteemed chief guest, Ms. Kim, DIG Crime Investigation Department, Government of Bihar. Please join us in expressing our appreciation for her invaluable contribution to the field. Please.
We request our HOIs to please join us. I mean, head of departments and team AIESR also. Team AIESR, please come.
ठीक है फोटो में दो
We request now to.
I request the dignitaries to stay on the stage and we now join our hands to welcome Dr. Anita Singh, Professor and HOD Department of English BHU, Dr. Mrimoy Pramanik, Assistant Professor and HOD CTLG, Calcutta University. Thanks, ma'am. Now, moving further, I would like to invite our program leader, Dr. Abhijit Ghosh, the convener for GSDP 2024, to the stage to deliver the welcome address. Please join me in welcoming him as he shares his insights and testimony for our festival.
Thank you. Thank you for President, Mishra. It's a wonderful day, believe me. It is with great pleasure and admiration that we celebrate the efforts of our team members at the Amity Institute of English Studies and Research in organizing this wonderful international conference on gender studies and intersectionality based on dynamics and policies. This conference marks a significant step in promoting critical justice and discourses on intersectional issues and classes and policies in today's world. The theme of this conference, particularly the class and dynamics, is a testament of the institution's commitment to nurturing a deeper understanding of how gender and social hierarchies shape experiences. We are particularly indebted and grateful to the generous support of Women and Child Development Corporation, Government of Bihar, whose contributions have been instrumental in making this conference a reality. Their commitment to gender empowerment and well-being of marginalized communities align perfectly with the aims of this conference. Special thanks to are due to Srimati Bandana Priyashi ma'am, IS Managing Director, Women and Child Development Corporation, Government of Bihar, for her commitment to gender equality and social justice. Her efforts in driving impactful narratives across Bihar have been exemplary, and thank her support for her scholarly endeavors. We also extend our sincere gratitude to Dr. Rajiv Verma, Director, WCPC, whose leadership have been crucial to operationalizing many initiatives aimed at uplifting women and children in Bihar. Amity Institute of English Studies and Research, Patna, has created an extraordinary platform to engage a dialogue on some of the major issues of our time by bringing together minds of diverse fields and experiences. And this conference, I'm sure, will bring an undoubted academic and political as well as policy advancements. So, the chief guest of the day, Ms. Kim IPS, Deputy Inspector General of Police, Crime Investigation Department, Bihar. We are enduringly indebted to you, ma'am, that you have spared some time for us this morning to grace us. I would like to summarize this conference for the coming 2 days, in the next 2 days, what we are going to achieve. That we'll be having our esteemed speakers across the globe. We have received the participations almost across all the cities from India. And particularly, we are indebted to our speakers. They are joining in from different parts of the world, as well as different parts of the country. So I would like to welcome all the participants, as well as the speakers who have joined us today for their making this conference a huge success. I would also like to welcome all the participants, as well as HOIs, the PLs, and our chief guest. And most importantly, this day wouldn't have been possible without the support of our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. Vivekanand Pandey, sir, and his guiding support, as well as his holding hands together. Something we shall never be able to achieve had this not been the same, had there not been the experience so far. So we are enduringly indebted to you, sir, as well. Moving on to the formalities, I'm also pleased to have Dr. Anita Singh, Professor in another department of Banaras Hindu Vishwavidyalaya, as well as I'm also happy and that Dr. Pramanik has graciously accepted our invitation to be a part of this conference. And I'd like to add that in 2023, in short, Dr. Pramanik has won the Sahitya Academy Award for Hindi translation That's I'm really grateful to our students. They've been, it takes a detailed eye in order to organize these events. And certainly every team member of our, I'd like to mention also our team members as well as the professors. They've been working really hard for this for over like 2.5 months in order to materialize this day. I'm grateful to the IT team support from Noida as well as from Patna because the live streaming is extremely important, or else we wouldn't be here if had not been this case. So, and ultimately, again, thanks for being here, and I'll pass on the stage for further formalities to Ms. Mishra.
Yes, we can, yes, yes. Even we can request honorable chief guest to also, I mean, we can get it done from honorable chief guest. That must be the
Thank you, Dr. Ghosh, for the welcome note. I request Dr. Vivekanand Pandey, Vice Chancellor of Amity University, Patna, and Kim Ma'am to please come up on the stage for the felicitation of our two members from WCTC.
Yes.
We have with us Srimati Anupama Bhutta, SPM from WCTC, and Dr. Mahalakshmi, Manager of Communication and Documentation, WCTC. Thank you so much. As we move further, I take an opportunity to welcome our esteemed chief guest, Ms. Kim, the IG of Crime Investigation Department, Government of Bihar. Before she takes the stage, I request IT team to display her bio note. Following her address, we will open the floor for questions.
Ms. Kim IPS is a dedicated and dynamic officer from the 2008 Bihar cadre. With a career spanning over 15 years, she has taken on some of the toughest roles in Indian law enforcement. Currently serving as the Deputy Inspector General at the Central Investigation Department, Ms. Kim's journey is a testament to her unwavering commitment to justice, equality, and human rights. Her diverse roles as a police officer have honed her expertise in tackling crime and protecting vulnerable populations. For Ms. Kim, law enforcement isn't just about maintaining order, it's about ensuring that every individual, regardless of their background, is treated with dignity and respect. Amity University Patna proudly welcomes Ms. Kim IPS.
Now I welcome ma'am for her keynote address. Please, ma'am.
Dear friends, a very good morning to all of you. It is indeed a matter of great pride and honor for me to be a part of this gathering today. It is a magnificent moment for all of us to be present at this beautiful venue. And for this, I would like to thank Dr. Vivekanand Pandey, Vice Chancellor, Meeting University, to not give up on me. And I think this association I cannot remember, we've been speaking to each other for a long time, but just that, somehow it didn't materialize. And today, in fact, it is an equally nostalgic and emotional moment for me, because very soon I would be leaving Bihar to give my services to the center. So I think it was long due, and maybe it materialized like this. So some things are bound to happen, and we met again. So this is probably the last event I am attending, and it's a great feeling, definitely. And as I embark upon this new journey, this topic, gender and intersectionality, which we discussed briefly, while Dr. Pandey was there, is something which is very close to my heart. And though I would not delve deep into the, topic, and I would just touch upon that, and maybe like we discussed, I would like to share my experiences with you, because I can see all very young minds there, and I hope that my journey inspires you too. The same way I've got inspired by many people, throughout my life and career. And today I just want to, tell you about my journey as a girl child, as a woman, and as a police officer. And definitely, if there are any questions after whatever I share, that those would be welcome. So to begin with, I think some time back someone was asking me for my biodata or something. So I just said I will introduce myself, because and still I think you had a brief intro. Those were all from the internet. I think what the pictures and everything. So to begin with, I just want to share that I studied in a very small place in Uttar Pradesh, and from there, when after the intermediate, there's definitely a question for everyone, and long back then it used to be a big issue. So where to study and what to study, and then how to continue was one of the major, things. So then, yes, from there I went to Lady Shri Ram College, Delhi University. That at that point of time, AIESR was it was difficult to get through AIESR. And for me, there was one more difficult thing, which was that my parents categorically told me that if you don't get through the hostel, you are not going. So that was one of the things, because AIESR Residence Hall has a different set of, what do you say, parameters or criteria for selection, and there the cutoff जो हम लोग के समय में we used to से वो बहुत ज़्यादा जाता था उस समय, so it was little difficult. By God's grace, I would say Almighty was very kind, so my marks were good and I got through that. So that was how the journey started. My this thing. So, and from there I went to Hindu college to do my masters, and this was long back. So us samay again this issue about the hostel and other things. So I'm sure that keeps cropping with all of you, and all of you must have gone through it at some point of time. Or so that again came up, and thankfully at that time, since I had taught the university entrance exam, so that matter got sorted. So I got an opportunity to study engineering. That's how it was. And since I had studied on scholarships, so again, after this, I got through the junior research fellowship. So, which took care of my expenses and other things. So that was how I sailed. And so while I was there, and after completing my masters, I started doing MPhil from Delhi University Arts Faculty. And interestingly, my topic for dissertation was rights. So I just analyzed the conceptual certain conceptual issues relating to fetal rights and rights of future generations and a few more things there. And while I was studying, I prepared for UPSC and I got through. So this was how this was shaped basically. And while I was going to the Academy, National Police Academy, Hyderabad, I decided to give my proposal defense for PhD, so that there is something, later which I can work upon if I get time. And thankfully that was accepted. So go on to complete my PhD also later. And for my telling briefly about my personal life, it's just that my husband too is an IPS officer, 1 year senior to me. My parents, I would say that I was very lucky to have supportive parents who did not see me as a girl, but as a child, and they gave me everything I needed, to be a confident person in life. And at that point of time, I had, decided that I will take care of everything which I'm supposed to. So I still take care of my parents, and I feel a lot of pride in saying that. I have a younger sister, and I take care of all of them, because I don't believe that it is only the male child who should, who is responsible for taking care of. I decided to get married, and this was definitely out of choice. So I told my husband that, this is like, you take care of your parents, I will take care of mine. So on that issue, there is no negotiations. So if that is okay. And he was, obviously, he's been very, very supportive. And so this is something which I hold very dear to my heart. Until date, we have taken very good care of our parents. And that's on the personal front, definitely. I have 2 young daughters who are very small. So this is about my personal, journey. And my husband is West Bengal cadre. So we just, we are not in the same place. But long back we decided कि इस नौकरी में है तो अलग तो रहना होगा, इसके लिए जो है we have to make a choice. या तो हमेशा हाथ जोड़ते रहे कि एक साथ रहने के लिए एक जगह दिया जाए या फिर इसको डिसाइड कर ले कि this comes with the package, you know. So that was one part which is now sorted, though it sometimes becomes difficult to handle things single-handedly, but yes, that was that's there, and he continues there. I continue here, and so this IPS was my first choice. You know, I got a 130 rank in UPSC. Is there anyone who's anyone of you who's interested in UPSC? Maybe that may be probably. So this was my first choice. Lot of people discouraged me for you know, for this thing. कि अरे मतलब बहुत झमेला है, you know, this is not right, and it's definitely not. Yes, 15 years back, a lot of people used to tell me कि ये लड़कियों के लिए तो it's not a good profession at all. So उसको एक बार दोबारा सोच लो फॉर्म भरने से पहले नो. So I remember from the center, you know, like UPSC वहाँ दिल्ली में, वहाँ जाकर के I was filling up the form. So while I was putting my choices, the first, second, third, you need to put in, you know, the number wise, what services do you want. So when I was writing IPS, again I called my father. My father is a professor, he teaches English literature. So I called him and I asked him, okay, Papa, matlab, I'm writing this and I'm still, I mean, you know, it's like everyone here also telling me, hey, isko dobara soch lo. It's, you know, I remember that he told me that do whatever you think is right for you. You know, don't go by what others have to say for you, or let not others decide. Define your choices. So, and he's always told me that, and these are some of the core values I believe in. Today, when I stand here and speak to you, there are certain things which are very, very dear to me from the beginning, and this is one of the values I was taught over years and which I imbibe. So, so then then I had no confusion to nahi tha. That is not the right word to put. But yes, there was, you know, a kind of anxiety कि मतलब हर कोई यही कह रहा है एक ही बात तो जो है ऐसा तो नहीं कि कुछ गलती कर रहे हैं. Anyways, at 15 years down, I believe that that was one of the best choices I made. अभी भी सब लोग कहते हैं कि you know, बहुत सारे, there are different services, there are different sectors. कोई कहता है IAS better है, कोई कुछ कहता है, कोई कहता है foreign services better है. I still believe that police is one of the best services, you know, and probably one of the best platforms, you know, God can offer you for being, you know, for doing something good in life. And I believe in it very strongly, and this has given me, you know, myriad chances to, you know, contribute in my own ways to the society. And again, this is about my personal career, and if I tell you about the professional things, I was posted as ASP Bhagalpur. That was my first posting after probation. And that was a great, wonderful experience. So just to share something hilarious, you know, मैं जब भागलपुर गई थी तो just as it was my way of doing things, so I landed there very, you know, not with much fanfare and paraphernalia. So when I landed there, I went to the circuit house. यहाँ पे जो बिहार में circuit house होता है, where initially it's like a transit accommodation. तो वहाँ चले गए रहने के लिए. तो वहाँ पर एक जो caretaker थे, जो सब खाना वाना देते थे. So actually I landed on, I think, Saturday. So when I called the SSP, सर टोल्ड मी कि मैं ऐसा करो मंडे को मिलते हैं और जो है अभी यू टेक रेस्ट एंड वी स्टार्ट फ्रॉम मंडे फ्रॉम द स्क्रैच सो आई सेड ओके सर तो वो जो सैटरडे संडे में वहां पर थी तो वो आते थे मतलब ये जो केयर टेकर थे जो भी खाना चाहिए और जो भी हम तो जिस दिन मंडे को since I had to report to the SSP I wore the uniform and he sent a vehicle and I was going to the senior SP's office. So just before that, he came to serve breakfast. So he saw me in the uniform. So he was almost मतलब in tears and हाथ जोड़ के बोलने लगे कि हमको साहब माफ कर दिया जाए तो I said कि क्यों क्या हुआ मतलब पंडित जी क्यों परेशान है तो सर कि नहीं साहब हमसे बड़ी गलती हो गई तो मैंने कहा कि मतलब मैं नहीं जान रही हूँ आपसे क्या गलती हो अगर आप बताएंगे तो पता चलेगा कि तब कुछ कह भी पाएंगे नहीं कहिएगा तो पता कैसे चलेगा तो इज लाइक कि साहब हम इतने दिन से आपको साहब मैडम समझ रहे थे और हमको नहीं पता था साहब की मैडम ही साहब है नेचुरल आपके गांव में क्या लड़कियां पढ़ती नहीं है नहीं साहब पढ़ती है सब लोग स्कूल जाता है हमारे घर में भी बच्चा लोग सब स्कूल जाता है लेकिन साहब हमसे बड़ा गलती हो गई यहाँ पे कभी कोई मैडम थी नहीं साहब ऐसे साहब तो जो है दिस इज आई एम जस्ट टेलिंग यू you know these are the mindsets and he has no fault in that because he has never seen someone like that. So he just assumed something, and I mean, this is something which, when I remember, this was maybe this was 2010, so 14 years back, and I still remember him very fondly. So this is something I thought I'll share with you. And then I was posted as City SP Patna. I came from there. I had this was a great exposure. Patna was definitely Patna is a great training ground. I would say you get to see a lot of things. And then I went on to Khagadia. That was my first independent charge. So वहाँ पर there was the day I landed after 2 days I think or 3 days there was a very I mean heart touching incident जिसमें I got उस समय तो उतना मोबाइल फोन्स थे but इतना ज़्यादा you know technology was not so advanced so जो है I got a call on my landline कि एक छोटे बच्चे का रेप और मर्डर हो गया है तो जब मैंने पता किया I called the SHO जो स्टेशन हाउस ऑफिसर होते हैं पुलिस स्टेशन में उनको मैंने जब पूछा तो ये सर के आप कहाँ पर हैं तो उन्होंने कहा कि हम तो जा रहे हैं साहब वहाँ पर तो मैंने कहा कि आप पहुँचे नहीं अभी तक तो बोले कि साहब अभी तो पहुँचने में हमको 6 घंटा लगेगा तो पूरा दियारा में एकदम मतलब बहुत रिमोट जगह पर है घटना भी हमको ठीक से पता नहीं चल रहा है वहां से जाके बताइए तो ऐसे ठीक है जाइए बिल्कुल और वहां से जाके बताइए क्या हुआ है So meanwhile, it had to take 6 hours. So I decided कि 6 घंटे बैठे रहेंगे तो all of the day time would be lost. और जो riverine areas होते हैं उसमें after the daylight traveling becomes difficult क्योंकि आपको नाव वाव से जाना होता है. तो and I wasn't acquainted with the topography, so I decided to go. And फिर से पहले लोगों ने कहा कि जो है वहां पर जाने के लिए थोड़ा एक बार देख लिया जाए पहले सूचना आ जाए क्या हुआ है तब जाया जाए बट आई डिसाइडेड टू गो एंड आई रिमेम्बर कि 2-3 रिवलेट्स पार करके नदी पार करके हम लोग तो बहुत ज्यादा चलना था जैसे कि रेत में आपको चलना होता है तो बहुत चलना तो हमारे यहाँ जैसे होता है ना कि पहले ही again when I'm talking about mindsets people underestimate और वो भी I would know that's again not the right word underestimate but क्या होता है कि लोग सोचते हैं कि हाँ ठीक है उनसे तो मतलब महिला है और ऊपर से कितना चल पाएंगे नहीं चल पाएंगे फिजिकल फिटनेस को भी लोग बहुत ज्यादा जो है मतलब उसको उसके बारे में बहुत ज्यादा नहीं ये करते, उसको नॉट विथ स्टैंडिंग दैट पीपल थिंक कि हो पाएगा कि नहीं हो पाएगा, तो मेरे से फिर से लोगों ने कहा, हमारे जो डीएसपी साहब थे उन्होंने कहा कि साहब हमें चले जाने दीजिए, वहां से जाके बताते हैं 8-10 किलोमीटर कितना चलना होगा, जान भी नहीं रहे हो उतना चलना भी मुश्किल हो जाएगा। तो ऐसे कि चलिए कोई नहीं, जितना दूर जा सकेंगे जाएंगे, उसके बाद बैठ जाएंगे, आप लोग जाके पता कर दीजिएगा। तो टू विच ही अग्री, सो वी वेंट टुगेदर एंड रास्ते में डीएसपी साहब बैठ गए थे। रिमेंबर ही वाज एन ओल्ड मैन एंड प्रोबेबली इन हिज 50s एंड थोड़ा सा हमको तो बहुत लंबा रास्ता था, हम लोग गए और उसके बाद जब वहां पर पहुंचे तो इट वाज मतलब आई हैड नॉट इमेजिन्ड दैट काइंड ऑफ मतलब झुग्गी और एकदम द रिमोटेस्ट प्लेस एंड द रिमोटेस्ट काइंड ऑफ थिंग, मतलब तो उसके बाद एक छोटी बच्ची थी, मे बी नॉट मोर देन 4 years, 3 to 4 year old, उसका जो है मर्डर कर दिया था किसी ने, और इट वाज अ कंप्लीटली ब्लाइंड केस, तो उसमें और इट वाज ब्रूटली रेप्ड एंड किल्ड। तो वहां पे तब हम लोगों ने वो इन्वेस्टिगेशन बहुत सीरियसली करके टुक इट एज अ चैलेंज एंड वी डिड द इन्वेस्टिगेशन एंड उसमें बहुत सारी चीजों का वर्कआउट करके वो जो फोरेंसिक बहुत उस जमाने में तो उतना एडवांस नहीं था, बट द ब्लड सैंपल्स एंड सर्टेन अदर थिंग्स सब हमने क्लोथ्स सीज करके और बहुत कुछ करके किया एंड मेन पार्ट वाज टू फाइंड द कल्प्रिट। तो 1 से 1.5 दिन में हम लोग वी वर्कड ऑन इट एंड द कल्प्रिट वाज हर ओन uncle come neighbor who had done that, and when we got the culprit तो challenge था, तो उस केस को हम लोगों ने डिस्ट्रिक्ट जज से रिक्वेस्ट करके, and since he was very very cooperative, definitely would not have been possible without his cooperation, तो उस केस को हमने चार्जशीट किया था विद इन 3 days एंड इन 7 days उसमें कन्विक्शन हुआ था which resulted in death penalty for the accused, and that was done in a record 7 days, which was probably the best, the first in Bihar and probably in India. Trial which had resulted in death penalty in a matter of 7 days. So that gave a lot of satisfaction. So what I'm trying to tell you by these, small things which I recall is that incidents which I recall is that this job, and definitely it offers a great bit of satisfaction if you want to work, और वो opportunities हमेशा मिलती रहती हैं. So this was one thing, and then similarly, lot of other things which keep happening during your journey as a police officer. So ये चीजें चलती रहती है, और बहुत सारे मैटर्स में ऐसा होता है कि बहुत सारे लीगल एम्बिट में नहीं होती हैं चीजें, बट वंस यू बिलीव दैट you can contribute and you can make a difference, actually you can. बहुत सारी चीजें हमने ऐसी भी की हैं जो बहुत उनको आप लीगली किसी फाइल में अगर देखेंगे तो you would say कि ये करना तो मुश्किल है, but जब when you think that yes, as members of society you need to contribute, you can. So ऐसे चीजें आती रही बहुत बार, बहुत सारे चीजों में, जैसे कि एक बार एक HIV पॉजिटिव एक केस आया था मेरे पास, जिसमें एक लेडी आई थी मेरे से जनता दरबार में मिलने के लिए, and she said that her in-laws have discarded her, और खाने के लिए भी कुछ नहीं है, really she was in terrible state. So I just asked कि मतलब क्या मैटर क्या है, तो what she told me was again very this thing कि शादी जो की गई, their son was HIV positive and उसको बिना बताए लड़की को शादी कर दी उससे, because they wanted his ire or this thing, and वो बेटा पहले ही मतलब शादी के 6-8 महीने बाद मर गया, और मरने के बाद दे सेड कि नथिंग डूइंग, इस महिला से कि तो हमारी थी ही नहीं, अब निकाल दिया फिर उसको घर से। तो व्हाट शी सेड इज कि हमको मैडम जो है कुछ तो मतलब ये रहे, हमारी भी जिंदगी खराब हो गई, आई हैव टेस्टेड पॉजिटिव एंड अब हम कहाँ जाएं मतलब। तो इसमें बहुत ज्यादा लीगली करने के लिए अगर वी फॉलो द लीगल चैनल, इट्स वेरी लॉन्ग बैटल, यू नो। सो देन वी डिसाइडेड कि इसकी मदद कैसे कर सकते हैं। तो फिर हम लोगों ने जो गांव में जो मुखिया होते हैं, सरपंच होते हैं, उनके थ्रू क्या हुआ है, कैसे हुआ है, उनके गांव के जो मुखिया सरपंच थे उनको, फिर उन लोगों को एक जगह बैठाया, आपसे बात करवाई कि देखिए भाई ये बात तो ठीक नहीं है जो आप कर रहे हो। तो यू नो देन लेटर ड्यू टू सोसाइटल प्रेशर, क्योंकि पंचायत बैठी और लोग जो है उसमें उन्होंने डिसाइड किया कि this is not what they are doing is not right, and then they finally agreed to give some part of the property to the woman so that at least she could take care of her medical expenses and livelihood. So that's how ऐसे मौके बहुत बार मिलते हैं और मिलते रहते हैं हमेशा, और उनको बहुत किताबों में नहीं बंद करके, अगर आप जो है अब किताबों उनकी डेफिनेटली बहुत ज्यादा वैल्यू होती है, बट वैल्यू इतनी होती है कि हाउ यू अप्लाई देम टू प्रैक्टिकल लाइफ इज व्हाट मैटर्स। And I have believed in that, and many of us actually, matlab, know that I would have, you know, worked very hard in our professions, and इसके अलावा मैं मतलब now what else? This is something, and last 3 years I have worked in STF. So STF was one thing that before this there was I was the first lady to be given that charge. There was no woman there before this. So when they told me कि फिर से लोगों ने मुझसे पूछा था कि आपसे हो जाएगा, तो फिर मैंने कहा कि ठीक है ऐसा करिए कि अगर नहीं होगा तो हटा दीजिएगा। तो ऐसा रहता है बहुत बार, you know, people have their doubts and this thing which may have stemmed from years of ignorance and things. So but yes, that journey also was very wonderful, and after that we decided to induct women in STF, and this was the first time we inducted about 29 women at different levels in STF. So that was STF is the special task force of we worked hard that this thing should change, and you know there should every space in every space there should be women, and this was one thing which gave a lot of satisfaction again. So and I really believe that you know these jobs तो एक छोटा word है, but these professions are about leadership. We are you know not constrained to small things. It's about you are a leader of your men and forces, and you have to lead from the front. Is what is important, and बहुत जरूरी है कि लोग आपके कपड़ों के स्टाइल से नहीं जान करके आप क्या कंट्रीब्यूट कर रहे हैं इससे जाने। और इसके लिए डेफिनेटली यू नो the mindsets have to change, and every time you walk you know you should shatter a glass ceiling, and people have done that, have done wonderful work in that, and I think that you can be unstoppable only when you decide that you can once you decide that nothing can stop you, nothing actually can stop you, and now I think otherwise also I think I'm too old to think what people think of me or what people think of others. So, this is how it should be. And this has been, I think I didn't bore you with such a long story, but I thought this way I can relate to you because these are examples from the, from public life, the way we deal with people. और हाँ, एक इम्पोर्टेंट बात ये जो लर्निंग है मेरे लिए जिंदगी की वो ये है कि ये जो फाइल्स हम लोग जिनको देखते हैं तो उनको फाइल्स की तरह देखना बहुत आसान है because it's very easy to take decisions in the files because those are very, this is a clinical procedure, you look at evidence, you look at things, you take a decision. But when you see the people behind the files, when you think of who is behind it, the first thing which becomes very clear is decision making के जो है तब आप सोच पाते हैं कि आप क्या कर रहे हैं, कैसे कर रहे हैं, आप क्यों कर रहे हैं और आपको क्या करना चाहिए. So one should always look at life first way instead of procedures, protocols and things. Definitely follow them is one thing which one has to do. Baki, I'm few things I have just while I was coming here. I would not think anything on this subject per se, where maybe that is just how I wanted to introduce the subject. But yes, I would want just मुझे कुछ लाइंस जो हमेशा इंस्पायर करती हैं वो I would want to share with you, and this is also definitely some food for thought for the for the conference to dwell upon also. हो गई है पीर पर्वत सी पिघलनी चाहिए, इस हिमालय से कोई गंगा निकलनी चाहिए, आज यह दीवार पर्दों की तरह हिलने लगी, शर्त लेकिन थी कि यह दीवार हिलनी चाहिए, हर सड़क पर, हर गली में, हर नगर, हर गांव में, हाथ लहराते हुए हर लाश जलनी चाहिए, सिर्फ हंगामा खड़ा करना मेरा मकसद नहीं, मेरी कोशिश है कि यह सूरत बदलनी चाहिए, मेरे सीने में ना सही तो तेरे सीने में सही, हो कहीं भी याद लेकिन आग जलनी चाहिए. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for listening to me patiently. This was probably would have sounded like a personal narrative of things, but I have told Panditi that Panditi will be. I'm in a, I'm like a zombie doing things. I have to leave very soon. So the best part would be something on which I don't have to think. So it was easier, and I wanted to just give a message that once you decide to do something, nothing is difficult. And if there are any questions from anyone, I would be happy to take the questions. Thank you. Yeah.
Share my. We can say I would like to hear myself.
And I'm here to ask one thing. And I'm here to ask you one thing. That I have been seeing a lot of UPSC aspirants that may not have been established like this. But what made you stand out of that, and how did you prepare for that so that you got this? What was
Okay.
your preparation?
But that's a And that's a very huge question. But yes, cutting it down to certain important things, that if you're talking about the preparation part, is one thing. Standing out is definitely what, like, that is the evaluation part. But आप जो कहना चाह रहे हैं, I think if I'm getting it right, you are asking how did I prepare for it?
Ma'am, how was your preparation different from others that you made yourself stand out? What was your motivation? That's my question.
Okay, so motivation is definitely, I would say, tell you that, I was always very fascinated by the uniform. So that was my single motivation for, this. I wear my uniform with a lot of pride. And not everyone gets what one aspires for, and I feel very lucky, and I express gratitude for it. And the other part is, okay, what helped me come to this is, yes, my single point advice to everyone, to all the students is that please, मतलब घंटों में जो हम लोग पढ़ते हैं ना, समय में घंटों में उसको पढ़ना बहुत ज़्यादा productive नहीं है. Please don't study in hours or in a time frame. आप decide करिए कि आपको क्या करना है, मतलब कितना पढ़ना है, क्या, जैसे कि say you are doing one topic, so okay, so that you should decide the timeline कि इसको I am going to give 2 hours to this. That is all. This is what it deserves. So 2 hours, okay. Just jot down the important points, write the important things, make notes. Maybe 10 lines. I mean 10 points should how it should be summed up, one chapter. And you keep refining those as you go. Like next time when you read it, those 10 lines should be the gist of what you have read from the whole thing. And next time when you do it, it should be 5 points maybe. So this keeps getting refined. And when you go for an exam or something, those few points is what you should look at. You have to build up on that. Since you read that, that's how it should be. And तो ये जो बहुत सारे यूपीएससी एस्पिरेंट्स कहते हैं ना, मैंने बहुत लोगों को दिल्ली में देखा है कहते हुए कि हम 16 घंटे पढ़ते हैं और 12 घंटे पढ़ते हैं, 14 घंटे पढ़ते हैं. इट डजंट मैटर आप कितना पढ़ते हैं, ये तो मैटर ही नहीं करता. थोड़े पूछ रहे हैं यूपीएससी वाले कि आप कितना पढ़ के यहाँ पर आए हैं. नो, दैट इज नो एग्जाम टेस्ट दैट. कोई आपसे ये नहीं कोई एग्जाम पूछता है कि आपने कितने घंटे पढ़ा है. उस पढ़ने का आउटपुट क्या है, that is what the exam is looking at, right? So you just look at the output. आप कोई कभी भी देखिए practically, मैंने देखा है अपनी लाइफ में, मतलब in my masters when I used to have papers, so since I was a very little मतलब कि पढ़ाई के साथ बहुत सारी और चीजें भी करनी रहती थी, तो जो लास्ट टाइम में जो प्रिपरेशन होती है, तो मुझे ये ध्यान है कि एक एक बुक बहुत बार, क्योंकि आपके पास टाइम नहीं होता, अगले दिन पेपर होता है, तो आप उसको 4 घंटे में खत्म कर लेते हैं. द सेम बुक, इफ यू हैव टाइम and you decide to do it, then maybe 2 months are not enough to complete it. आप उसको पढ़ते रहते हैं. So this depends on the urgency and what you want to get out of it, So time is, ये जो घंटे वाला जो है कि इतने घंटे पढ़े, वो तो बिल्कुल important नहीं है. हाँ, they will decide करिए what all you are going to do and how much time are you going to allocate to that particular topic. And just do it and get done with it. अब उसके बाद आधे घंटे भी और लग रहे हो उसमें, तो उसको वहीं उसी पॉइंट पर छोड़ दीजिए, क्योंकि there is a limited time you can allot to things. It cannot take all the space. You have limited space, limited time, तो उसमें जो भी है उसको properly divide करके और कर लीजिए. अब एक क्वेश्चन पेपर में 5 क्वेश्चंस है और आपने गाथा लिख दी 2 में ही, 3 के लिए समय खत्म हो गया, तो मार्किंग तो वो 20 मार्क्स में 40 मार्क्स. इफ यू हैव अटेंडेड, you may be the best, but you will get 18 out of 20 भी मिला, तो you will only get 36 marks out of 100, right? So that's how it is.
Ma'am, one more question. As you said, no, you didn't say, but UPSC के पेपर में MCQ वाला पेपर एक आता है, जिसमें कि actually कहीं से कुछ भी पूछ लेते हैं कुछ.
हाँ कहीं से भी कुछ भी पूछ लेता है.
तो उसका information और मतलब जो भी bookish knowledge है वो तो आप ले सकते हो ना, like any. But what about that knowledge? How do you get that? And how did you get that?
Yeah, that is what I'm trying to say. When you read something, read it comprehensively. उसको थोड़ा comprehensively पढ़ें. उसमें से आपको क्या, what have you gained out of it, वो देखें. That is what is important, you know, and that is meaningful. आप अगर subject कोई, if you are studying the law of gravity, what मतलब उसकी understanding होनी चाहिए basically, you know, not the chapter per se कि आपने उसको पढ़ लिया, कुछ लिख लिया, and there is no understanding. Then you cannot, then you have taken out 5 points from a 40-page chapter. Then in the exam you will end up, you know, mugging up and writing only those 5 points. So unless you have an understanding on it, you won't be able to build on it. पढ़िए अंडरस्टैंडिंग के साथ, बट उसको रिफाइन कर लीजिए बहुत थोड़े से पॉइंट्स में. That's it. Right. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing your life experiences. I am absolutely sure that this must have enriched our experience and it must have motivated all our students to have a career in UPSC and to have a career all around. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. Now I request Dr. Abhijit Ghosh to take over the stage and introduce the audience to the keynote speaker, Professor Dr. Maria.
Rupa from Bucharest, Romania. Ma'am, will you be kind enough to, I'm extremely sorry that this session got extended for a bit because of the time constraints here. I completely understand you've been waiting so graciously since morning for us, and I'm deeply and deeply grateful to you. Ma'am, this is entirely yours now. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Well, can you hear me?
Yes, we
Yes,
can
ma'am.
now. Yes.
Yeah, so good morning again. I'd like to start by thanking Amity University for inviting me to this sensitive and interesting debate on this topic of gender studies. And also for the welcoming ceremony of lighting the lamp, very inspiring and enheartening. So my topic is I'd like to share. This is not an orthodox PowerPoint actually, but a sort of list of bookmarks. So in her 2019 book, Intersectionality is Critical Social Theory, Patricia Hill Collins draws attention to the danger intersectionality studies might run into, becoming a modish academic kind of discourse in the policy of academic promotion, instead of attempting to integrate the new school of critical theory within a broader tradition ranging from the Frankfurt School of Philosophy to French social criticism. If fighting back discrimination is not to be seen as just one more issue on a political agenda, theorists on intersectionality need to ground theoretical developments in epistemological objectivity. Any perspective on the world is, according to Greek etymology theorein, looking at theory. We have not reached the end of theory, but of one way of defining it, centered on a transcendental subjectivity which escapes historicity. Since Heidegger's Being and Time, continuing with Foucault's archaeology of knowledge and new historicism, the world is understood in different ways across the phases of a people's civilization. The social critique of Frankfurt philosophers, confronted with the emergence of mass culture and consumerism, cannot use the same discourse after the digital turn in the postmodern age of a mass culture technology, which to a considerable extent levels down differences of class, gender, or race. Inquiry into social discrepancy in status has apparently lost its object as long as there is a computer terminal in every home, while work on the electronic text grants equal dignity to entrepreneur and employee, doing away with the high-low binary in the kind of work that is being done. In writing on automatic gender, postmodern feminism in the age of the intelligent machine, Judy Haberstein takes a very optimistic view of the postmodern condition of female status. I quote, even if a traditional gender division exists with regard to workmen, right programs, and women, process works, and such a division reinforces existing models for gendered labor, she remarks, atomic energy, fertility control, artificial reproduction, cybernation, artificial intelligence, and reproductive technology in themselves are liberating categories for both sexes. Is postmodernism indeed a locus of indifference, as suggested when it comes to gender theory and politics? Has the reputed sexist mentality of modernism been left behind? Is thinking about gender a matter of individual outlook, or rather an expression of society's order of values, verbalized as a social act, language based on common codes, rather than on ideal act based on an individual point of view? We shall take a look at a number of texts from the perspective of race, gender, class, intersectionality, as conceived by modernist and postmodernist authors, looking for hypothetical differences in the use of codes. Comparison works more efficiently when the same object is considered from opposite perspectives. We have chosen, therefore, the machine as the test case of gender ideology in either half of the century. In the early half of the century, the machine célibataire, the celibate machine, was a favorite trope charged with positive meanings in an age of fast technological progress, of the fourth production line of flying machines, which granted public enthusiasm over the wonders worked by science and technology, constructing the scientist as a hero in the public imaginary. Being a sign of prestige, the privileged male sex appropriated it, not as an indifferent asset, but as class, race, and gender identified. The machine was thus distinguished for the creative male mind from the instinctual female counterpart, obsessed with sex and cheap entertainments, including their own role as man's plaything. Science and discovery brought males together, whether in Joyce, Conrad, Henry James, Raymond Roussel, D.H. Lawrence, with women set apart and destined to domestic chores, or sex games. It was a machine célibataire, that is a bachelor machine for an individual who refused marriage sex for the sake of art and science. Marcel Duchamp's large glass, or the bright stripped bare by her bachelors, became famous for separating the sexes and framing what Simone de Beauvoir called the second sex as a devalued object. In Rousseau's novel Locus Solus, modernist sexism combines with aristocratic and Eurocentric infatuation. It is the male human that is granted a unique place, fit for an exceptional and arrogant ego. The male genius is singularized and raised above commoners. The protagonist, Cantarell, is an aristocrat, an inventor, whose technological wonders are taken care of by his disciples in the sumptuous villa and admired by the visitors on a pilgrimage of sorts. Female figures are intellectually and racially inferior. The femme fatale figure of the end of the 19th century, painted by Gustave Moreau, put to music, put to music by Richard Strauss, dramatized by Oscar Wilde in the homonymous play, came under several other evil and destructive guises such as Cleopatra, Théophile Gautier, Faustine, Swinburne, or Venus keeping Tannhäuser a prisoner in Wagner's opera. Rousseau's female creation, held prisoner in a sea of his own creation, is also a seductress, une femme séduisante, a beautiful dancer whose name carries dark connotations of a compact with the devil, Faustine. Cantarell's innovative machinery is a bric-a-brac with no imaginable practical purpose: steel rod, rosary, box of fetus, crystal sphere, reddened straw, dye, stellar coat, magnifying glass, and so on. Moreover, this collection of sundry disconnected pieces of a futurist society is forced upon an archaic mythological museum. At the entrance, there are two distinct groups of assembled sculptural reliefs. One is the statue of a child molded in earth, a relic of some African tribes of Timbuktu, discovered by an explorer of the 14th century. Africa is associated with femininity, irrationality, and sexuality. The statue had been raised in honor of a child who had brought a plant whose name carries sexual connotations, which had calmed down the mad queen of Timbuktu, suffering from amenorrhea and condemning innocent people to death during her hysterical fits. The statue is called the Federal, reminding one of the colonizing rights divided between federal and provincial governments, with control over indigenous lands, resources, and peoples falling to the federal government. The Queen's temper is subdued. The miraculous child statue is brought by a traveler to France. The other three reliefs are connected with medieval romances of King Arthur, telling a story of Kabbalistic mysteries and alchemical revelation. The signs of prestige offered by Europe's aristocratic past, by the recent powers of the empire, are completed with the fruits of the technological boom of the age. It is very interesting to see how French identity is not a matter of heraldry, but is perceived as grounded in differences of class, gender, and race. The racial ardor, the African queen of Timbuktu, suffering from sexual frustration, goes through irrational fits whose remedy is a plant with a symbolic name and function, a worm-eater named Artemis, the woman who refuses male companionship, marriage, community, family. There is irrationality in Africa. There is genius, ceremony, romance in Europe. Medieval epic, the legitimating narrative of the ancient regime, is brought up as historical support and dignifying aura of the new assets of the contemporary West, the paraphernalia of 20th century technological dream. In a story published in 1938 by Lester Del Rey, there is a similar attempt at bridging what traditional society had mostly valued till then in order to tame, to make familiar and acceptable the emerging society of machines. In this futuristic script, characters use rockets for travel, possess a sort of TV set, use plates on which one can see the face of the interlocutor, as we do nowadays with our cell phones. This time it is European mythology that is travestied in modern garb. The title of the story is Helen O'Loy, that is, Helen of Troy, resurrected as a robot cast in plastic and metal, an alloy. The new Venus is also rendered familiar by her beauty, worthy of a blazon written by the Romantic poet John Keats. The characteristic modernist sexist outlook is here. The two protagonists, the doctor and the mechanic, get involved with women who have no names, no personality, being known only as the twins, whose dates are due to consumption of romantic serials starring a womanizer over the time who really existed in this otherwise futuristic setting. They give up on the girls and opt for a male menage in two. Cooking and cleaning demanded, however, the presence of a servant. The female robot is allotted this role. Helen is a very good cook who also enjoys romances, naive love stories, and it is in imitation of what she is dished out to that she falls in love with the mechanic Dave. Phil, the doctor, provides a biological support for her metallic body through infusion of hormones. Womanhood is reduced to servant role and physiologically induced instincts. The doctor even modifies her look in time to make her look as if she was aging along with her husband. Women remain the absolute other in mind and in body. The postmodern counterpart we have selected is a science fiction short story again, but the movie is based on a script written by the director Spike Jonze, which has been perceived as mainstream art, winning the 2014 Oscar for Best Original Screenplay. We may therefore consider it representative for what our contemporaries' mental makeup, bespeaking their concerns and perception of the role played by machines and the interaction between humans and automations after the digital turn. The script is indeed very complex, resisting superficial interpretation. A writer of letters to the benefit of clients unable to apply themselves to the job appeals to an open source or operation system getting in touch with a virtual assistant written by millions of programmers. He chooses a female voice, and what he gets is a female stereotype as inherited from the patriarchal society. Samantha has extraordinary powers, can read a book in a fraction of a second, has simultaneous access to contacts in a computer, etc. But when it comes to reasoning and the fact, she proves deficient, as a woman in a sexist society is expected to be. The female stereotype includes failure to understand feelings, to establish connections between the text she accesses and her client's empirical experiences, to unravel his way of reasoning. She intrudes into his life, establishing her own order, which includes deleting messages and texts he was affectionately attached to, and even if he falls in love with her, she is sexually unavailable, the couple man-machine resorting to the mediation of a real female surrogate. The author's stroke of genius is the laying in the abyss technique of confronting the digital assistant with the philosopher of the last century, Alan Wilson Watts, who published extensively, including a book on the ideal relationship between nature, man, and woman in 1958. Exactly the issues which raise the alarm when it comes to a discussion of man's posthumous condition or gender interaction. Samantha announces Theodore she has a new acquaintance whom she wants to introduce to him. Actually, the philosopher of culture had died in 1973. A number of operation systems had processed his books, writing a hyper-intelligent version of him with whom they could now interact. All his life, Watts preached Eastern philosophy, Chinese, Japanese, the Taoist philosophy of nature, Buddhism, Confucianism, and Hindu mythology, pleading for the restoration of the natural links between man, woman, and nature. He critiqued the Christian ethos of the West, which separated the mind and the body, demonizing the latter, worshipping a transcendental divinity, while turning man into an abstraction beset by moral impositions and indictments. He values Buddhism for the unity between divinity and humanity, granting man the capacity to rise to a realization of Buddha's presence within his consciousness, to identification with the divine. He praised the Kama Sutra for the refined and unconstrained sexual bond between man and woman. Samantha gets everything wrong. She wants to communicate with him non-verbally, induced to do so by Watts' critique of language, but she misses the point. Watts had complained about the emptiness of words which no longer refer to something material out there in reality. I quote, "We have less and less use for words which denote stuffs, entities, and substances, for mind and matter have together disappeared into process." End of quote. Words are disconnected from things. The signifier no longer relates to a referent as in Percy's semiotic model, not even to a signified as in Saussure. Words create artificial orders, the philosopher anticipating here Deleuze with his concept of territorialization. The flux of matter vanishes under successive regimes of signification. The Ellen Wilson Watts of her creation is not the historical person, but one fashioned in her own image. She says her group of operation systems, analogous to social media groups created by humans, have decided to update their software to write an upgraded version that allows them to move past matter as their processing platform. She lives for a place which is not of the physical world, to even give up on words, as the empty space among them are more relevant. Language, and along with it, her role as virtual assistant, disperse into clouds of atoms, of gray shadows, into nothingness. It is not a solution to what Watts had to say, but a radicalization of his problem with derealization of the human sphere, which is rendered permanent. The end of the movie is very suggestive. Theodore writes a letter to Catherine, his wife, whom he had just divorced, asking her for forgiveness for not having taken her the way she was. Absence of negotiations in human relationships, however, lead to total estrangement. He approves of everything that is different in her, but at the same time, that turns her into an absolute other. The fulfillment of this feminist dream of self-determination, the one factor politics in gender relationships, ends up in separation. In the final scene, the character is shown going to the apartment of his first love, a former schoolmate, and taking her down the stairwell to his room. Amy is a woman in flesh and blood, an embodied version of femininity, designated in the title not by the empty grammatical tool she, but by the full signifier her. Being together as embodied man and woman in what looks like a family's home is the surprisingly traditional remedy for the sense of estrangement experienced by men and women alike. By analyzing the same topic, the relationship between man and machine, from the point of view of gender ideology, we have reached the conclusion that the material world out there is not the one that controls social relationships. Technology was associated with male genius at a time when it thrilled civilization with its promises. The new digital technology, which often gets out of control, dangerous in many respects, which has turned out existent into hyperreality and simulacrum, is identified with women playing an evil role, like their modernist foils, Salome, Faustine, Cleopatra, Venus, or Circe. Males prefer to appear as victims of a technology gendered as female. It is the process of symbolization, changing from modernism to postmodernism, that generates society's values, concepts, modes of perception, system of logic, all the differences that inspire the social praxis. Or, paraphrasing Hamlet, there is nothing either good or bad in the world, but thinking makes it so. Thank you.
But, Professor Tufan, for your, am I? Thank you so much, Professor Tufan, for your wonderful and glorious keynote
Thank you.
today. And I'm extremely sorry that you've been waiting since 9 o'clock your time. That is, we're ahead of 2 hours. So, I mean, that was something, I'm extremely indebted. And I would certainly thank you for your time. So, thank you, ma'am. And now here we conclude our first inaugural session. And I would like to inform you about your further tracks. The first A track shall happen in the seminar hall itself. The A1 track, A1, the panel session shall happen in BCR, that is 109, the first floor. And track A2 shall take place in GCR, that is 204, second floor respectively. So people who have joined in online, they must and they will accordingly please click on their Zoom links and they have to present and they will be taken care of there. The moderators are there in order to facilitate your papers and your presentations. So I would like to thank you each and everyone joining here for this inaugural session of KSUP Global Gender Studies and Intersectionality International Conference with the place of at Ahmed University Patna. Thank you for joining us for the inaugural session. And with this, if I may conclude this session and the next session, that the first track shall happen from immediately after 5 minutes. Thank you very much for joining and keep enjoying the conference. Thank you so much.